got to talk about this comic, Doctor Who: The Lost Dimension. And this is the new comic that came out. They actually previewed it at Free Comic Book Day this year.
Oh, okay.
Well, this is the story of all the doctors coming together. And they only do a story where they combine different doctors when it's going down, or if it's like a Christmas special or some random goodness like that. Well, this is truly a deep referencing love letter to Doctor Who fans, and not just fans of the most recent few years series, from the Ninth Doctor to the to now, up until the new female Doctor that's premiering later on. Oh, actually, in 2018. This goes all the way back. Like, they introduced the Colin Baker Doctor. They had the old school doctors. People make appearances in this. I loved that, and I'm really anxious to hear you guys' opinion, because am I incorrect in assuming that I'm the only Doctor Who fan in the room right now?
Yep.
Okay.
I tried too.
Tried?
Yeah,
Okay.
like I've said before, like it's such a deep history, and it's such a long and storied show, and I just don't know where to start.
Mm-hmm.
And so trying to dig in right now, and you're saying you have to have that, you have to be indoctrinated and everything. I'm not there.
Okay, you know what? No,
I haven't
that's
seen
fair.
the more recent stuff. Like, I know the old school stuff. Like I told you earlier, like, I grew
the old
up on
Doctor
those.
Who's growing up?
Yeah, those are. I was poor and it was on network TV. I was like, yeah, whatever, man. I'll watch it. That's
Right.
awesome.
Hey, no better reason.
I just wish I had like a doobie with me at the time. Like,
when you were 7? Come on, man.
Yeah, I'm serious. It would have been awesome.
Wow.
But I did.
Mama, we got a Fruit Loops.
Yeah, don't worry about it, Ma. It's just a plan.
All right, well, Herbie Herb, how about you, man? Doctor Who?
Wait, a fan of Doctor Who?
Yeah.
Doctor Who?
Okay, stop.
He was
okay, no more for you today.
He almost hit that too, like.
Man, I'm talking about Doctor Who. To anyone who doesn't know or is unfamiliar with the Lord, Doctor Who is a citizen of Gallifrey called the Time Lord. He's here on Earth because this is kind of his adopted second home, and he protects Earth from extraterrestrial threats. Alien cultures try to take over, but get all up in our stuff for some reason or another. They want to enslave humanity. They want to tap the Earth for resources. They're just dicks and want to start war with people because they do that. That's what the Centaurans are, and that's different factions have different motivations, and they all fear the Doctor. Why? Because the Doctor is the only one that has our backs, and he's the most formidable threat to the extraterrestrial threats to us. So he's a good guy to have on our side. Now, what happens is when something threatens not just the Earth, but this whole dimension of reality in itself, and the Doctor has to seek out help, he calls on any of his allies. When the Doctor's allies encompass previous iterations of the Doctor, past lives he's had, then it's really some stuff going down. And this is the story of not just one or two or three Doctors combining forces, but all of them from different realms coming together, because the threat is that real. I got into this, and as I mentioned, it's a story that you kind of really you don't absolutely have to know Doctor Who from beginning to end to understand what's happening in the story, but this really went into itself. Like, this story was deep up the ass of the Doctor Who lore. To the point where even in the first issue, there's characters that you would have no idea, and they did a very poor job of explaining. If you hadn't known who they were from the TV show or any of the outside media, you would have no clue whatsoever how they actually fit in any kind of logical realm. So that's one thing I think was actually a failing of the book. But that's the primary failing, and really the only failing. Beyond that, I actually like the story. We're still into it. We only got to check out a couple of issues because they haven't released the whole thing yet. But from what I saw, I really dug where this promises to go. So, I'd like to know you guys' thoughts.
I liked it. I was actually anxious. I just actually finished reading the second issue. I thought it was only one issue you gave me, but I'm anxious to see how they intertwine all the different personalities of each Doctor. Like, I just culminate them into one splash page and just see how everybody gets off on their own terms. So, but I'm actually like I told you, I haven't seen any of the most recent stuff, so I'm actually excited. It makes me want to watch some more recent stuff.
Well, no, there's good reason to. And you're right. That's a good point you made. I'm glad you brought that up, because one thing I did notice in the writing and the dialogue and interactions between characters, they did capture, at least for the ones that they showed in the brief time that we got them, they did show the different personalities of the Doctors. This wasn't just one style of writing across the board. This was actually written by somebody who was a fan and acknowledged and knew the different personality types.
Yeah.
So you have You have the 12th Doctor, who's a jerk. You know, you have the 11th Doctor, who's a little too quirky for his own good. You know, Captain Jack was in there, and he's kind of a cocky a-hole, and he's only on for like a few panels, but they nailed that, and then they, worked him out. I'm pretty sure he'll be back later. He's Captain Jack.
Do you have a favorite Doctor?
My personal favorite Doctor is David Tennant. He's the 10th Doctor,
Mm.
and mostly, that's the one everybody loves. People are crazy about David Tennant, unless they like the older Doctors, and even then, the 12th is their favorite, and 10th like the second. I like him because he's the way I would be if I was the Doctor.
A jerk.
No, not at all. That's the 12th. Thank you, brother. Thank you for that. No, but he has a sense of humor. He enjoys being the Doctor. He knows I'm gonna die someday. Let me just have fun now. You know, so and he's the one, like, you get in his face, he gets real serious and shows, hey, look, I was laughing before, but now you done goofed.
Yeah.
All right. But until then, like, he's just walking around, he got his trench coat on, he's got his chucks, and he's just hanging. You know? He's going on cruises, he's just kicking it. You know, making friends, he's dapping up, cohorts and stuff. I'm like, this dude is me if I was the Doctor. That's why he's my favorite. But I would recommend the one, if anyone wants to catch up on the new series, the Christopher Eccleston 9th Doctor, who's heavily featured in the first issue of this comic series, is the way to go. And this actually captures part of his personality and why he'd be a good Doctor to start with. Now, as you said, you were unfamiliar?
Yes.
Okay. So now here's where I think the book does you a disservice as somebody who's not intimately familiar with all the Doctors, or at least the latest series.
Right.
A lot of the dialogue in the first couple of issues really deals with history between the characters from the show. So if you never watched that, they're just talking back and forth to each other like they're old friends, and they're leaving you out of it. It's like you're eavesdropping on some stranger's conversation.
It's kind of dangerous in the first couple episodes of anything. You know what I mean? So it's like that's where you're starting, and it's like if I don't adapt or I don't connect with anything in those first episodes, I'm gonna lose interest.
Yeah,
So,
and I think they're too heavily relying on this. Will be primarily fans buying, and then they'll get their own friends to read. And that's how they'll expand the audience. You can't really.
Since you're like the Doctor Who aficionado, to cut you off, brother.
Yep.
The Doctor Who aficionado in the room. Does he, since he wants to start, should he start with the older stuff?
No, because.
Or can he just jump right into the newer, more modernized version of it?
You can jump into any season of Doctor Who. The problem with it is, depending on where you want to start, it's already deeply immersed in its own universe. I would say start with the 9th Doctor, but the problem with that is Christopher Eccleston is one of those people that. He did it for the time. He had his reason for doing it, and then he was really against having it rebroadcast and getting involved further. So his episodes are really hard to find. You may have to take to the internet, may have to go to some less reputable sources for that. Who said that? Her. But those were the best place to start because they acknowledged Doctor Who hadn't been on the air for a good 10 plus years.
Yeah.
People aren't as familiar with it as they were back in the 70s, 80s, maybe a couple of TV movies in the 90s. So they reintroduced it, and they reintroduced it slowly but effectively. By David Tennant, you watch the show and you acknowledge it has a history you're not familiar with, but you can catch up.
Yeah. By
the time it got to the 11th Doctor, played by Matt Smith, it was deep into itself. So if you hadn't at least checked out some stuff online on the side to familiarize yourself, you're just, this is the show, some stuff is happening, I'm lost, but I'm entertained. So it's that type of media to focus that focuses on. And the new this new comic, I can tell it's a really good story, but anyone else who's not as familiar with it as I am, and I'm by no means an expert. I appreciate using the term aficionado, but dude, there are old heads that would be dropping names. The species did this, and then this time this, and so. My main thing is I'll be posting memes of who would win in a fight, the Borg or the Cyberman.
Yeah.
And I'm like, the amount of love the Borg's getting shows that people really have no idea what the Cybermen are capable of. They are thorough. All right. But okay, so y'all got my impressions, man. I actually like this, but as I'm a fan, I will point out to anyone who is a fan of the show, they'll understand what I mean by this. The first issue introduces the Doctor's daughter and a brief view of the Colin Baker Doctor. Anyone who's intimately familiar will know why they intertwine, and also why that would do a heavy disservice to anyone who's not a fan.
Yeah.
To y'all who aren't, I want to get your impressions of the story so far, man.
As far as I'm an avid comic reader, it paced well. Splash covers were great for me.
Mm-hmm.
dialogue was well written. The guy said the pirate. Remember the page with the pirate? I'm gonna key haul you in your blessed box. I was on the floor when I read that. I think I might use that on somebody next
You
week.
gonna tell somebody you gonna kill
Not
Hall
bad.
in a blessed box?
Yup,
Actually,
right
no,
in the
don't
blessed
Say
box.
that to a chick, you gonna get slapped.
Oh, never know.
I'm gonna kill Hall your box, officer.
It's blessed.
No, like I said, I had no entry point into this, so like trying to get into it was a little rough, but the artwork was great.
Okay,
Writing
yeah,
was
no,
good,
it was
you know.
beautifully drawn. I do really appreciate
And it really was. So like I got through it, but like I said, like it did inspire me though to like want to dig backwards and figure this stuff out too. So like it made me a fan, even though like I can't be a fan of this now because I don't know what the hell's going on.
Cool.
So
All right, and Johnny, you awfully quiet over there.
I didn't read it, so
What? Oh, come on, man.
Bastard.
I didn't. I'm not a Doctor Who fan. I watched
It's
a few
not about being a
episodes.
fan, baby.
I watched a few episodes of the TV series, and this was curated for me by a major Doctor Who fan, and they, here's
that
the
sounds-
best set of episodes to get you started into liking Doctor Who. I watched them. I couldn't. It wasn't
Now,
for me.
here's my
It wasn't
question.
for me. It was like
Quick question.
someone
What-
trying to get me into Star Trek.
Quick-
It's not for me.
Quick
Okay.
question. Like, was it a combination of different Doctor Who's, or was it like someone like like a set episode of a certain series? Or
It was a combo. One of them is, I guess, the famous one with the statues that
okay, so he gave you like a
Yeah, the Weeping Angel.
the Weeping Angel things, and when you're not looking at them, they can move towards you, and if they touch you,
Weeping
you're
Angel
dead or
stuff
something like that.
Weeping Angels are cool if you get like 9 or 10 episodes of lore surrounding them. Then yeah, they are dope.
Well, it was
If you
a
just watch one episode,
standalone.
they're like, what the hell these crying bullshit ass
I know,
statues
right?
gonna do for me?
turn your ass
It was a
around.
standalone episode, so it was like one of those things that you can watch and not have any context at all,
hmm
and it was kind of framed as like a pseudo horror kind of film episode.
They do that, but it's difficult to try to compartmentalize something so huge into one episode, and then try to sell somebody on it. It's
Yeah.
something that if you didn't get on the Doctor Who, don't worry about it. There's plenty of other good sci-fi out there. But if you ever have a chance and just like really want to give the effort to, you will find something. Like the different Doctors are different enough that makes the series different. It's like we mentioned with Star Trek. There's different
Captains,
shows
yeah.
appeal to different audiences.
it's
Doctor
like
Who's
what
the
if you
same.
changed Duncan MacLeod in Highlander? Over and over, you know?
Okay, no,
That's
that's a
actually
good example too.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
difference between Connor McLeod
Yeah.
and Duncan McLeod,
Yeah.
or even better, the difference between are you a Duncan story guy or are you a Richie story guy?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like there's different things that appeal to everybody, but don't feel obligated.
Richard
Yeah.
You know,
Clark.
this is the type of book that I can tell this is written deeply for fans, and it's an interesting read if you're not a fan. But it's really not something you should feel the need to delve into because it's just like it's designed. It's kind of designed to leave you in the dust if you're unfamiliar. I'm bummed to say that because I would love for something this big to be the first induction of like new Doctor Who fans. You know,
Well, it might be. You know what I mean?
might be.
So I might dig it now. You know?
I gotta give it. I gotta give it a thumbs up. But you know the point of view I'm coming from.
Right.
Thumbs up for me. It was
Well,
a
if
good
you're a
comic,
fan and
based
you
well.
liked it, though, that's all that matters, right?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
yes or
just
no.
like,
It
you
should
don't
have a
gotta worry
wide
about
appeal
everybody
too. It's not the Doctor Who show. It's a comic.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you think? Thumbs up, thumbs down.
I'm gonna give it a thumbs up because it did really like kind of make me want to dig a little deeper and get into this a little more.
Okay.
So
Wow.
like
Three thumbs up.
if that you know what I mean, that's all you can ask for in a comic for anybody that's not indoctrinated already. So
I'm
let's get ready.
look who's heart with 3 sizes this day.
I gotta pee, man. I gotta.
all right. This has been the Geek Down here on WEMF. I want to thank you all for joining us for another action-packed, fun-filled show.